The Xiaomi Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro look very similar, with screens that curve at the edges and that are broken up by punch-hole cutout cameras in the top left of the display. On the back there is a camera bump in the top left corner. These phones have a 6.67-inch OLED screen with HDR10+ support and a screen refresh rate of 90Hz to make content and motion look a bit smoother. The Xiaomi Mi 10 and Mi 10 Pro both run on the top-end Snapdragon 865 chipset paired with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of storage options. That chipset has an adjacent 5G modem. One of the most important features of the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro is the 108MP main camera, which takes fantastic pictures and supports 8K video recording like the Samsung Galaxy S20 series. The Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro has a 20MP ultra-wide camera and two telephoto lenses. One of these is 8MP and supports 10x hybrid zoom, and the other is 12MP with 2x optical zoom, which is used for portrait mode. Pictures taken with the phone looks great and delivers great dynamic range and color accuracy. It also have a 20MP front-facing camera, which is a pretty decent resolution for selfie snapper. It comes with 4500mAh battery capacity. This phone has a 50W fast charging, 30W wireless charging and 10W reverse wireless charging, which lets you use the device as a wireless power mat for other devices. Xiaomi has a reputation for producing quality phones at affordable prices, and Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro 5G is another example of that. The Mi Note 10 Pro brings all the features of a top-end phone but without the top-end price tag. It's got a beautiful curved HD screen with a 6.47-inch Super AMOLED display. The colors really pop, max brightness is pretty high, images look textured and contrast is good. At the top of the screen there is a small teardrop notch in the center which houses the front-facing camera. There is a Snapdragon 730G chipset here paired with 8GB of RAM, which is a decent mid-range processor that's optimized for gaming. The headline feature of the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 Pro is its camera. The 108MP main sensor is the first of its kind on a smartphone in the world, and it's such an important part of the phone's identity and Xiaomi's marketing strategy. There are 5 lenses on the back. The main camera is 108MP. An optical image stabilizer for the main lens is on board, as is the flash. The main rear camera is joined by a 12MP sensor with 2x telephoto lens for the portrait mode, a second telephoto snapper, this one with 5x zoom and 5MP sensor for zoomed shot, another 20MP ultra-wide camera, and finally a 2MP macro snapper. The main 108MP camera takes absolutely incredible shots. Forget the iPhone 11 Pro, Huawei P30 or even Realme X2 Pro. This phone takes some of the best looking pictures you will get from a smartphone. Everything here is on point, colors are rich, contrast is great and images are bright. Also, you can record 4K video at 30fps. On the front, the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 Pro has a 32MP camera housed in the teardrop notch, and it comes with various filters and features. Selfies looked pretty vibrant and high quality. The Xiaomi Mi Note 10 Pro's battery capacity is 5260mAh, which is a lot bigger than what you get in most modern smartphones. It also supports 30W fast charging. The Xiaomi Mi Note 10 Pro is a powerhouse in so many ways, and we can definitely recommend buying this phone. Xiaomi Mi 9 Pro 5G smartphone was released in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.39-inch Super AMOLED touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19.5:9. It is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 6. This device is powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus 7nm processor. It comes with 12GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Xiaomi Mi 9 Pro 5G smartphone on the rear packs triple camera setup consisting of a 48MP main shooter and a 12MP telephoto lens and a 16MP ultra-wide lens. There is a 20MP camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 10 and packs 512GB of internal storage. It is powered by 4000mAh battery with 40W fast battery charging support and 30W fast wireless charging support. It was released in dream white and titanium black colors. Xiaomi Mi 10 seemed to fit all the criteria of a premium flagship. The display could impress many people. This phone have a 6.67-inch OLED touchscreen with HDR10+ support and a screen refresh rate of 90Hz to make content and motion look a bit smoother. Screen curves at the edges, and there is also a punch hole cutout camera in the top left of the display. The Xiaomi Mi 10 used the top-end Snapdragon 865 chipset coupled with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. That chipset has an adjacent 5G modem. One of the most important features of the Xiaomi Mi 10 is the 108MP main camera, which takes fantastic picture and supports 8K video recording like the Samsung Galaxy S20 series. There's also a 13MP ultra-wide camera, a 2MP macro snapper, and a 2MP depth sensor. All of these different lenses work smoothly and delivers stunning picture quality. When capturing still images, target exposure is stable and accurate. Further, Xiaomi has improved the dynamic range over the last year's phones. It has a 20MP front-facing camera too, which is a pretty decent resolution for the selfie snapper. Pictures are good enough for the price range. In terms of battery, the Xiaomi Mi 10 actually has the larger power pack than the Mi 10 Pro with a 4780mAh battery capacity, so the Mi 10 will likely last a bit longer. It has 30W fast charging, 30W wireless charging and 10W reverse wireless charging, which lets you use the device as a wireless power mat for other devices. The Redmi K30 series has a new design adopting the dual punch hole front selfie camera. The back design is quite stylish with the drop coin camera placement design, which is pretty much unique on its own. It also has the fingerprint scanner placed on the side of the phone where the power button is placed. The phone comes with a 6.67-inch touchscreen display and protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 5. The processor is the SD765G coupled with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. The speed of the 5G edition did improve over the 4G sibling. The Redmi K30 has 4 cameras on the rear and 2 on the front. There is the new 64MP Sony IMX686, a direct successor to the popular 48MP IMX586, an ultra-wide 8MP sensor, a 2MP macro camera and a 2MP depth sensor. The new IMX686 sensor pulls its weight in good light and bins images to 16MP. Xiaomi's image processing is quite flat. There's a lot of dynamic range, but it's not overdone like a lot of other manufacturers. You can record 4K video at 30fps and 720 resolution super slow-mo video at 960fps. On the front there are 2 cameras, one is 20MP and supported by a 2MP depth sensor. The selfie camera has good sharpness in good light, but the flat color profile doesn't look very good on skin tones. If you are a big selfie person, you will want to apply a filter or to edit your photos before you share them. The phone is backed by a 4500mAh battery along with 30W fast charging support. Overall, this is a great budget-friendly 5G phone.